Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Let's dive right into a topic that almost every parent, caregiver, or healthcare professional has faced at some point. And I'm talking about the sheer, unadulterated panic of a child at the doctor's office. You know the drill, right? The sudden tears in the waiting room, the white-knuckle gripping of the doorframe, the absolute refusal to even sit on the exam table. Well, today we're going to break down the actual root of this childhood medical anxiety, and more importantly, how we can fix it using the absolute best evidence we have from the medical literature.
So, what do kids actually fear most about the doctor? If you had to guess right now, you might say, well, they're afraid of being sick, or maybe they just really hate that sterile smell of the clinic. But here's the thing. When researchers actually sit down and ask school-aged children what terrifies them about medical visits, the answers completely flip our adult assumptions upside down.
The big myth is that they fear the illness itself. We honestly just tend to project our own adult anxieties about health onto them. But the reality, which is backed by classic nursing research, is much more complex. The top answers from kids, they're all about intrusion, pain, that terrifying feeling of being held still, and, above all else, not knowing what comes next. It is the absolute loss of control. For a child, the uncertainty itself is the fear.
Section 1. The root of the fear. Understanding uncertainty.
Think about the clinical environment entirely through the eyes of a child for a second. A checkup looks literally identical to a shot right up until it isn't. The room is exactly the same, the doctor is the same, the tools look incredibly similar. They have absolutely no way of knowing if today is just a gentle listening to the heart or if it's the day they get a needle. Their brains are desperately trying to process this environment, and the only logical conclusion they can reach is that danger could happen at literally any second.
To put ourselves perfectly in their shoes, consider this perspective. Every visit feels like a surprise test where nobody will tell you if there's a needle on it. I mean, just imagine living with that level of suspense every single time you walked into a building. It builds immense empathy when you realize they aren't just being difficult or acting out, they're operating in a state of high alert against a totally unpredictable physical threat.
Section 2. The anxiety spiral. Fear spreads fast. Because the threat is so incredibly uncertain, that fear doesn't just stay neatly confined to the exact moment the doctor walks into the exam room. It bleeds backward in time. Everything starts becoming a warning sign. At T-minus 30 minutes, the anxiety starts the moment you pull into the car park. At T-minus 15, the unique smell and sounds of the waiting room hit them. By T-minus 5, just hearing the crinkling sound of the paper on the exam table rapidly escalates their stress. And at T-minus 0, the white coat appears. The panic didn't start in the room, it started miles ago, compounding with every single step they took toward the clinic.
Section 3. The one well-meant lie. Breaking trust.
Okay, so now that we understand the child's spiraling agitation, we have to talk about how adults, usually with the absolute best of intentions, often make things worse. We're just going for a chat. It's the classic trap, right? You've got a terrified child and you just need to avoid a total pavement meltdown and get them through those clinic doors. So you drop this one well-meant lie. It seems totally harmless in the moment, just a quick conversational fix to keep things moving.
But here's the problem. The moment that so-called chat turns into a vaccination, trust is fundamentally broken. You've just taught the child a really devastating lesson. Adults actively conceal what happens at the doctor. And the consequence of that is immense. After that lie, absolutely no reassurance you offer them in the future is believable. You have essentially validated their worst fear. They're walking into a trap, and the people supposed to protect them are in on it.
Section 4. 3 steps to less stress. Child life prep.
So how do we actually fix this? Well, by using evidence-based techniques derived from child life preparation programs. Here's your high-level playbook. Step 1, tell the truth. Step 2, give a job. And Step 3, practice at home. It sounds simple enough, but let's dive into why these specific actions are so incredibly effective at combating that massive uncertainty we just talked about. Let's unpack Step 1, tell the truth. Honesty is absolutely the engine that keeps preparation working. You need to tell the child exactly what will happen, and in what specific order. First they weigh you, then they listen to your heart. And most crucially, you must honestly answer whether there is a needle. Do not hide it. According to the medical literature, preparation is the single best supported intervention out there. It reliably reduces distress simply by removing the element of surprise.
Moving to Step 2. Give the child a job. Have them hold the stethoscope while the doctor isn't using it. Let them pick which arm gets the blood pressure cuff. Or just ask them to count their deep breaths out loud. Why does this work so beautifully? Because a designated role converts a terrifying passive procedure, something being done to them, into a participatory one. You are essentially handing them back a tiny slice of the control they're so afraid of losing.
Finally, step 3. Practice at home. Familiarity is the true enemy of anxiety. Playing doctor with a toy kit at home normalizes the tools before they ever see the real thing. But you have to carry this practice into the clinic too. Pre-brief the clinician. Pull the nurse or doctor aside for a quick second and ask them to explain each step directly to the child, not just to you. It builds immediate trust between the child and the medical staff, proving to the kid that they are a respected part of the conversation.
Section 5. When to seek extra help. Targeted interventions.
Now, while those 3 steps are incredibly powerful for routine anxiety, we do have to recognize the safety line. Sometimes a child's fear is profound. The major red flag here is when fear causes a child to actually miss needed care. If you're canceling important appointments because the panic is just insurmountable, it is time to act. Ask the practice for a desensitization plan, or ask to consult a child life specialist. This is particularly crucial for blood injection injury fear, which is a distinct issue that actually has very specific, highly effective treatments available.
But there is a crucial boundary for parents and caregivers to remember here. Never diagnose. Your role is to support and prepare, not to play psychologist. If the standard steps we've covered just aren't working, seek that professional guidance to get a proper desensitization plan in place. Don't put it all on your own shoulders. Lean on the experts whose entire job is to help children navigate this safely.
We've covered a lot of vital ground today, from the root of the anxiety spiral to the incredible power of honest, structured preparation. So, I want to leave you with this final thought. How will you frame the unknown for the children in your life? The next time you head to the clinic, remember that a surprise test is terrifying, but a well-prepared team can handle anything. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.